out of the night that covers me. Black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll, I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul. This poem Invictus was written by an English Victorian amputee from Gloucester in a hospital in Edinburgh. It's the same poem which Nelson Mandela recited and meditated on in a South African jail for 27 years. Instead of emerging from prison embittered, resentful, and ready to take vengeance on his enemies, Mandela was released from captivity and he sought peace and reconciliation. Instead of spending his captivity wallowing in self-pity or eroding in acidic fantasies, he was slowly, habitually, painfully cultivating character in the fire of contemplation. And this is where we find ourselves, breaking with our silence to talk about the second monastic step, contemplation. Contrary to popular opinion, contemplation isn't about sitting around in a Zen-like state of superiority while everyone about you is losing their heads. It's a way of engaging with the world in your own time, encouraging response rather than reaction, making us do the hard work of self-examination so that we can be ready to engage with the world. In some ways, we've all been forced to be more contemplative recently, but contemplation is not the same as turning a regret over and over in one's mind. It isn't being helplessly bombarded by memories or having stray thoughts hound and harass you. It's an active, not a passive process. In the Benedictine tradition, meditation is rooted in the reading of spiritual texts. The ancient practice of lectio divina, divine or meditative reading, usually but not exclusively using the scriptures, is a way of reading slowly and entering into a reciprocal relationship with a text. As we read them, they read us. And this is where an element of prayer can come in. As we speak these texts, we allow God to speak to us. Entering into a place of contemplation through this passage may mean learning to read in a new way. Most of us read as much as we can, as quickly as we can, so that we can crack on with an essay and go out and have a good time. But the idea that speed reading is the best reading is not the complete truth, and it's certainly not always the most beneficial way to read. For this discipline, you can start with the text of a poem or a passage from the scriptures. If you're looking for a place to start, I think that one of the Gospels in general, and St. Mark's in particular, would make a good beginning. The second path to contemplation is found in prayer. For this discipline, I'd recommend you choose a set prayer and repeat it in time with long, deep breaths. I personally use the Jesus prayer from the Orthodox tradition. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of the living God, have mercy upon me, a sinner. With repetition and focus, these prayers become the path along which we are led to God himself, in whom we will find not only a rest for our souls, but also a challenge for our lives. Contemplation is not only a quest for inner peace, but an exposure to the love of God. To be near the love of God is to be near, as Jesus showed, to the darkness of the world. Contemplation doesn't take us away from the world's problems, or our own. It leads us to confront them, empowered by the grace of God. Contemplation, according to Gregory the Great, is the true source of the spiritual life. He wrote this: Holy men and women go forth like lightning when they come forth from the retirement of contemplation to the public life of employment. But they would freeze too speedily amid their outward works, did they not constantly return with anxious earnestness to the fire of contemplation? Contemplation, then, is not about withdrawing from the world so much as it is about making us more present in it. It enables us to truly be with other people in their need and their darkness. It's a source of light not only for ourselves, but for the world. To finish, here are some practical tips to help you to enter into contemplation. Find some space where you won't be disturbed. Get rid of your phone, grab a Bible or a book of poetry, and sit up straight. Meditation is an active, not a passive pursuit. It's not an art of relaxation, but of concentration. So sit up as if you're getting ready to listen to something important. Have a pen and paper with you so that you can write down distracting thoughts that are really important and leave them to one side for later. Find a text and use it as a repeated phrase on which to focus, and try practicing the repetition of a phrase with breath. Don't feel bad if you get distracted or you can't do this as well as you might want to. In contemplation and silent prayer, intention is as important as attention. This is a discipline which can help you to focus your mind, as well as making you fit to help others. So devote some of your time to it, in the hope that you can begin to make the world a better and a lighter place.